Go. Hello, cyber babies. It's the even more fabulous Mother Love coming to you live and in living color. On my right here to your left is Mr. Kennedy, my trusted confidant, my arguing partner. Well, we don't really argue.
Argue, never.
Never. We don't argue.
Discuss, yes.
And and
Argue, no.
and I
Debate, yes.
and I have a tendency to do it very loud and very succinctly.
Oh,
And and it's a thing that I saw this the other day on the internet,
and
which
that one.
about how being this is Women's History Month and
Yes.
celebrating all the women who make a difference in this world, and that's all of us. Because without a woman, your slap happy behind would not even be here. So back yourself up and understand and respect the position that she is in. And so things have evolved in relationships as we go along. We're pretty old school, but we're pretty modern parents and grandparents. Even though our grandchildren said we were old, but we weren't old, and
Oh,
because there's a difference in their world between old and really old. I used to tell
okay.
my next door neighbor that my mother knew Paul Revere. So how about
Really?
yeah? She was old, so I figured she knew Paul Revere.
Okay.
And
That's possible.
she knew Marcus Garvey, and she knew everybody because she had been living for 412 years. So now
Really?
I saw this thing, and this kind of pertains to women all the time. There are five things that when a woman says this to a man in their relationship, that
Okay.
you need to watch out because when we'll say you'll say how you doing, we'll say fine. That means something is wrong and you need to sit down and pay attention. But to a man, when you say what's wrong and we say nothing, oh, nothing's wrong, and you said okay, then we get mad because you walk away. I mean, y'all are
Well,
handsome and wonderful and everything, but ladies, let me tell you, they are not mind readers. They believe what you tell them, and then they move on. So you have to be succinct in what you're asking to get the answer that you want or the answer that you need. Because oftentimes
okay.
it's not the answer that you want. And when we'll say, you'll say, "Well, how are you?" "Oh, I'm okay." Or you'll do the, "I'm okay." "Well, honey, what's the matter?" "No, no, nothing." Okay, then I'm gonna get even more upset and anxious and cry and emotional because you didn't see what was going on with me. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
that one. And this one, uh, when we say whatever, that's the end of the conversation. Plain and simple. Don't try to go back and do it. When we say, well, whatever, you know, we know what that means. So you got to learn to chit.
what the whatever means. What
Whatever
does that
the conversation is shut down. Don't say nothing else to me. I don't hear nothing else coming out of your mouth. I'm leaving the room. My one is I don't
mean?
say whatever. I go. I am disengaging, and I just
Disengaging.
I'm not going to engage in crazy talk. So I disengage from the conversation. And contrary to
Is
my
it crazy talk?
yeah, sometimes y'all have crazy talk. I mean, we're women supposed to have crazy talk, but well, in society, that's the crap. I mean, no, that's the crap y'all think we going for, and we don't. Most men are pissed off at women because we think faster than you do.
Oh, is that what it is?
And you'll go, "Don't cut me off." I don't have to cut you off because I know what the next thing is gonna be. You don't know what I'm thinking. Okay, say what you're gonna say. Well, I was gonna say this, that, and the third. No, then isn't that the same thing I just said to you that I knew you were gonna say? And then you'll walk off, or even with our son and our grandsons, when because them the only ones who can get to say whatever to me, and I'm like, you know what, I'm done with all of y'all right now. I'm just done with
Oh,
all of y'all, and I'm not gonna get that close to anybody else where I have to say I'm done with all of y'all because when I do say that to you guys. I'm just going in the other room. I'm going in my kitchen. I'm gonna go find and cook up like 15 different dishes because cooking does calm me. So I'm just saying, fellas, just pay attention to the words. When she says fine, you ask, sit down and engage. But if it's some crazy stuff, just, I'll write like this is what my husband does when I'm going through one of my emotional bits. Oh, yeah,
mhm.
I can go to the dark side.
Okay.
I've been over there on multiple occasions. I work very
Oh,
hard to stay out of the dark place because it be dark and you don't want to be in there. And you'll just have me a box of tissue when I'm emotional. I got tissue boxes all over my office, the house, the car, because I just never know. They got a commercial on right now with this baby. She can't be more than 18 months old. She's not even two, I don't believe. and the male figure is coming around the corner, and he's on crutches and he's got prosthetics, and you see this little baby guide him to the chair
Yes.
and take his other crutch. And she puts it down and she sets him down. I mean, every time I see that, even just talking about the commercial make me emotional because from the babes, we're gonna have to save. We gotta do it. It's our responsibility to do it, and we have to take, our health, take it seriously because you just never know what's gonna strike you. Speaking of our health, was that a good
Yes.
segue? Speaking of
Yes.
health, we have a new Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr., who is the most incompetent. I mean, I can't say he's the most.
Mm.
He's incompetent. He's so, and let's get that. Wait a minute. And this is RFK Jr. from Robert F. Kennedy Sr. His father was running for the presidency, and Sirhan shot him down like an animal in the hotel, Ambassador Hotel in L.A. in 1968. I can't believe I can remember that clearly, but I do. His uncle was the president, John F.
Mhm.
Jr. of the United States, and they do say genius skips a generation. So it must have skipped his generation because he, being the Secretary of the Health and Human Services, is saying now we're going through an epidemic right now with our chickens, and eggs are
The bird flu.
the bird flu, avian flu. It can spread. It spreads. I don't know how it spreads to humans, but millions of chickens had to be destroyed, and they're saying that's the reason why egg prices are so high. So, and these chicken farms, they have 2 and 3 million chickens, and this is what they do. This is what they do. They raise chickens for us. I mean, and then having to destroy millions and millions of birds infected with the avian flu. This, and if I was standing right here in your face, I would tell him, you big bobo head, foolish imbecile. His I can't even get it. I'm just I get all riled up, and I'm gonna what? No, tell him what he said we could do with the bird.
Okay, well, his suggestion was is
Yes.
that we just allowed the flu to run rapid through the chickens, because if you allow it to run rapid, it'll thin out the herd. So whatever chickens remain would be the strong chickens, are the ones that are actually immune to the bird flu. Now, I mean, we out here in California when you're dealing with $18 for 20 eggs. $18. A lot of places far even higher than that. And the Asian markets, they're like $39, for 18 eggs. If you allowed this flu to actually run its course and say just let it run wild, what if if only left a third of the chickens left?
Well,
Would that be enough to go around?
no, it will not, and the price of chicken will escalate just like the price of eggs is escalated. You know,
I
people
mean,
people are
no.
online looking for chicken coops, and how do looking for the what are the ordinances? Can you raise chickens in the city? Can you raise them in your
You can. A lot of places you can.
too? Because our chickens are disease free. How many would you like? And who's to say that they won't
Okay.
be infected? And how do you determine? What do you do? You kill off the birds, and then the ones that's left, that's what is it? Like the only strong birds survive? Well,
What
would
was
that
no
affect
was
the whole herd?
well, wait a minute. The first thing is that, okay, one of the big things that was going has been going on for quite some time now is when they said that they're when the chicken farmers, one of the big ones, said that their chickens are all, they don't use any hormones. I mean, any to keep their chickens from getting sick.
Mhm.
They okay. Now that's Foster Farm said we don't use none.
Mhm.
Okay, now how do we know that the food is started in their group? And they said they don't use it. They don't tell you what they use. They just tell you that they don't use any kind of hormones to keep their birds from getting sick.
Okay, now what? Let me in that vein, because sometimes
Yes.
we go to I do the majority of the shopping for us, and no, and now you do the majority of the shopping for the house. But what you get this stuff out of just I forgot what I was getting ready to say. Okay, never mind.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, this is
what
what
I
I'm gonna say. This is what I'm gonna say about the chickens. It came back to me. When we say we don't know what they're putting in the chickens, or
yes,
the chickens are hormone free,
antibiotics that they use.
antibiotics. And you see some of these chickens, I mean, the chicken thigh is like this big, and the leg is like, and they all go for like, if say chicken is $5.49 for a pound, or for a whole dog. No, they ain't not $5.49 a pound, or for, but nonetheless, you get the big giant looking steroid grown chicken legs and chicken thighs, and they just, and they they are the least expensive ones, but I think those are the ones that are have the hormones put in them, because some chicken farms have said they can have a chicken go from little chick to being ready for market in 33 days, or 33 to 35 days. And
Well, okay, that's a month. That's a month. Now,
oh,
if you stop and think about that, if that can happen within a month, that you can have, a full grown chicken that's ready to be harvest, that you we can cut them up for parts, because everybody, is basically everybody around the world eat chickens.
everybody eat chicken. Well,
And if
everybody but
I,
Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy does not eat chicken. America,
uh,
breaking news. He does not eat chicken unless
well,
he's starving, and I make sure he's not starving. Yeah,
but
what you tell me? Tell the truth and shame the devil.
that as long as they McDonald's was around, I wouldn't starve to death. Okay, but we're talking right now. We're talking about the chickens.
Wait a
And
minute. What
okay,
did you just say? If long as it's a McDonald's, you're not gonna starve. 'Cause you,
okay, because there is thing called fast food. It may not be healthy food, but it's fast food, and people do survive off of that. But
yeah,
one of
but
but
at what cost for their health?
okay, but what I was saying about the bird flu, and Mr. Kennedy, um, suggesting that we allow the bird flu to just go run rapid, that way it'll cure it, because any chickens that are left alive after the flu takes its toll will be the ones that are the strongest. Okay, but even being the strongest chickens, if there's not enough chickens left for people to eat, for us to consume, since every place you go, you can get chicken at any restaurant you go to.
Not any
It-
restaurant. Can't get them at the vegan restaurant.
they have vegan chicken. Wait a minute, they do have vegan
And
chicken.
it's not made out of
It's
chicken.
not made out of chicken, but what I'm saying, any restaurant you go to serves some kind of form of chicken. But I'm talking about the ones that serve regular chicken, chickens that grow in the backyard, that grow on the farm, and there's harvest. That these are the chickens that, if we say that is possible now for you to allow these chickens to not have any antibiotics, just see, okay, just like Foster Farm say they don't do any hormones. Okay, but hormones and giving your chicken antibiotics is two different things,
Yes.
because hormones is to help them to grow faster.
Right.
The antibiotics is to keep them germ free, so that we don't have to kill millions of chickens because they get the flu. It's just like in the human population, when you get the flu, it can spread rapidly throughout the population.
Quick.
It's why we get flu shots every year. So we hope to keep down the you know people becoming sick from the flu, because we've been vaccinated.
Right.
If you don't vaccinate, then more people will get sick. And yes, that's another way of thinning out the herd, because you're looking at whoever is the
Okay.
most, who's the strongest, will end up surviving. The ones who are not strong won't survive, and that way you know who's healthy and who's not healthy.
Okay, that it sounds like the same kind of crazy that they were talking, the politicians and these whoever these near the well leaders are, uh, who said, well, just leave them alone with the pandemic, or because only the strong survive, and to say that a million Americans were not worth saving, and you want to see who was going to be the strongest one to survive the pandemic, to all the crazy stuff that they said where they were withholding vaccinations from people, respiratory machines, because they wanted to be able to control the pandemic, and we lost 1 million Americans to this pandemic, and now we have to take COVID-19 shots or whatever the new mutation
Well,
to stay inoculated,
well,
on
think
top of
about
everything else.
But think about this. It's no different than the flu. You're recommended millions of people take a flu shot every single year, every single year
Yes.
without fail, because there's a new flu virus that is generated every year.
See, and that's what I think. I think sometimes they just be making up stuff in the petri just to see how well humans will handle it. I've heard
Okay,
germ warfare before.
okay, yes, you have, but the flu is not germ warfare. I mean, the flu has been around forever, just like the common cold. I mean, is that germ warfare the common cold, or is it that our body is affected by the atmosphere that we live in? Okay, you
Right.
get a cold, you get sick. You can go from a cold to the flu, which is a severe cold,
To pneumonia.
to pneumonia, which is still more severe than you started off with the common cold.
Right.
If you have compromised immune system, they really recommend anybody with a compromised immune system that you are more susceptible to getting sick than somebody who's healthy.
Right.
Okay, I'm not on any medication, so I'm healthy, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah. He really
okay,
is really healthy. I
but
take really good care of him.
but do I still get a flu shot every year? Yes, because you're a type 2 diabetic, and the fact that I could bring the flu home. I could bring the flu or common cold home to you when I go out. And the fact that if you care about somebody, you try to minimize the things that could happen to them, but by your hands.
Right.
Okay, so if I wear a mask or if I use hand sanitizer coming in and out, that cuts down on the possibility of germs being spread. I mean, we most of the time you catch a cold or the flu because somebody sneezed in their hand. We don't think about it. We do. We touch a doorknob. The germs are on the doorknob. So if you come behind them and you turn that handle to come in, I mean, it's not that the handle is wet.
Everywhere.
It's the fact that you sneezed and the germs spread on surfaces. Germs live on the surface. Okay, if you put them on the surface of a doorknob and somebody else touches that doorknob, that's how you end up spreading the germs. So you have to stop and think about how the germs are being spread and whether you want the germs to be spread or not.
And people don't. A lot of people don't, especially a lot of our young people, don't really understand the consequences of cleanliness and not being clean. When you just go in and just drop the buckets of chicken anywhere, and you're eating out of the sink, and you don't wash the dishes for 2 or 3 days, and the water starts getting stagnant, and you smell that funny smell, and you go throw something away, you got maggots in the bottom of your trash can. Oh yes, I have been around some nasty people in my
Okay, but now,
and,
but think
and
about this.
and that can cause, I wanted to make this point, that can cause some kind of a virus that you don't know. One of the friends,
That's true.
rest her soul, she passed away, and they said that she had an unknown infection, and they couldn't get a handle on it. And she wasn't in the best of health from the beginning, and she was a cigarette smoker, and so it did not help with her respiratory problem. And she
Yes.
kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And if you went into her house, I would have never. Some people, you shouldn't go over their house. You just really
Why
don't
not?
do that, because it could change your whole mentality of that person. And well, for me, it does. I mean, because
Okay.
yeah, I just think it's just doesn't make any sense for a woman to be trifling, for anybody to be trifling.
Okay, but now see
I've
now.
been I've been in people's houses, especially women, and I wouldn't go to their bathroom. I would rather go on a pop bottle than go into I mean, because the house is so nasty, and they say, "Well, I ain't got time to clean up," and then it just piles up and piles up and piles up, and it's like my friend who died, and on her death certificate, it said, "Cause of death, an unknown infection."
Well, but stop and think about this. One of the things that happen and can happen, they say it's two sides to every coin. There's two sides to every coin. Okay, but people who are generally nasty and not that clean, they are around a lot more bugs than you are, as somebody who's a lot cleaner. Now they immune system, it becomes a lot more hardened.
Compromise.
Not compromised. Actually, if you live in filth a lot, your body just picks up a lot of these different germs and stuff, and then your body make antibodies for that. See, that's part of that saying, that let the herd get sick, and the strong ones on the herd will survive, and the other ones will perish. Well, if you're somebody who doesn't really clean up well, your body has to start developing antibodies to keep you alive, simply because you're not keeping the place you're in more sanitized. There's somebody else who may clean up all the time, and if you clean up all the time, they say that a lot of times you have less immune to diseases because your body don't have not built up the antibodies. That's what they tell you, that having a dog around your child when they're little will help them build up more antibodies for different germs and diseases as they grow up, which we didn't know before, but we know now because of scientists and them doing tests to know that if you do something like that, that there's a far really good chance that you won't catch get sick as somebody else because of the fact that your body has built up more antibodies against different germs because you're not in a clean environment to start with.
And to the point, uh, you when you start out, this is from the beginning. Whenever you move out of your parents' house or your grandparents or wherever you live, and you're going to live there on your own, and you get to make the decisions for how your house is going to be. Um, we grew up in pretty strict in pretty strict environments because our parents were like, we poor, but we ain't gonna be nasty. No, we're not doing that. Everybody had chores to do. You had to take care of yourself. You had to clean up your room, make your bed up, wash the dishes right. And if they weren't washed right, you got an extra week. So she said, I better be able to come in here and drop my food on the floor and eat it off the floor. And I bet not taste any crunch. And when you a
But
kid,
that's a lot of cleaning.
that's a lot of cleaning.
That's an awful lot of cleaning. I have to admit.
It,
That's
it,
awesome.
and they get, and I'm glad that we had that embedded in us, so that we would understand the importance of cleanliness. Where they tell us cleanliness is next to godliness, and you don't have to be like crazy. I remember I got some friends from Europe, and they came over to America, and they were here for a while, and they asked me all the time. So mother love, that they call me the mother. So the mother love. So why Americans always want to wash and always want to clean? Every day they want to take a bath. And I was, well, maybe that was my African accent. And they want to take a bath. Well, they were the same thing too, you know.
Okay.
And they said we're obsessed with cleanliness. And I'm like, you don't even know. And I
Well, if
rather
you're obsessed with cleanliness, I mean, which is not a bad thing to be obsessed with anything.
But they call
Uh,
it now OCD, impulsive compulsive disorder. One of those fancy names they give to ailments that if you're washing the dishes all the time and you don't you everything every wrinkle has to be out of the bed. I don't call it I call it what do I call it?
Being
Anal,
clean.
yeah, anal retentive. We want everything
mean,
in a place.
but that's not being anxious retentive
It's
to
not
want something clean. I mean, that's it to say that you're saying that there's something wrong with you wanting to be clean versus the fact that you want to be clean for the sake of being clean.
right
I mean,
and
now,
orderly and
I mean, you think about it. When we went to Africa, we had to take 15 different shots before we went because they were saying the different bacteria and viruses that was there present there that wasn't affecting the population there as much as it would affect us who did not live in that unsanitary condition.
mhm.
If you're not used to being around those microbes, we used to see folks when we went. I forgot which place we went to over there, but where the people, the pigs and the cows were right at the water,
At
and the
the
people were swimming in the same water that the cows and pigs were supposed to.
and they would wash their clothes in it.
So they're used to that bacteria where you are not used to it and you would get sick. I mean, you think about it. When we went to Africa, almost everybody on that trip ended up having diarrhea at one point or another because of something that they ate, that
Okay,
they
you and
they had to eat.
you and one of the young ladies, her father, she came over with us, and I think she must have been about what, 13, 14 years old.
Yes,
And
yes, at the time, yes.
she, she said, I don't think I want to eat this, Daddy. And let me tell you, her and Mr. Kennedy, we were there for what, 9, 10 days, something like that.
Yes,
All they ate was
potatoes. You can't mess up a potato. I mean, now I mean, people may think that's strange, but it's not as strange as it seems because I wanted to enjoy the trip, and
mhm,
I did not want to be sick and miss out a day or two maybe because now I got diarrhea and I'm stuck in the hotel and I couldn't go out because a lot of times now you find out when you travel there some places you go there are not a lot of restrooms.
no,
I mean, because
they're
it
not.
is what it is. So you learn about different people and different cultures a, wh- a great deal more once you travel. Just staying in America and never actually traveling. Now you can, yes, you can look at the internet, you can look at National Geographic, but it's nothing like actually being in a foreign country to really see the difference.
Shoot, some people in the United States have not traveled out of their state. They say the average American does not move more than 25, 50 miles away from where they grew up. And I was like, no, that
But,
wasn't.
but that is more
But that's
common.
and that's what's more common. Some of my siblings, okay, my brothers were in the military, so they left the state and they
Yeah.
went out of the country. And my mother left the country. She went out. She was in. I think she went to Canada.
Oh
Um,
well, that ain't going far.
well,
That's
yeah, because she was.
okay. She went to Niagara Falls. Okay, I don't really. I mean, it's quiet as it kept. I don't really consider going to Canada like really going anywhere because Canada's so close. You
I
know,
loved it. I
I
loved
mean,
it.
I've loved all the trips that I've going to Canada. We've been to Canada on both sides of
Yep.
Canada, on the east side and the west side of Canada. No,
North
we haven't been up. We haven't been up north for north now. That's a whole nother story. As
because
far as to the Antarctic, you have to have a lot more clothes on and stuff. But needless to say, traveling does open up your eyes to the world a lot more if you actually get out and travel. And I want to say thanks to Joseph Williams. He's watching and listening in
Joe
on
Williamson.
Facebook.
Hey,
Yes, Joseph.
hey, Joe Williamson. Hi, baby. Give us a
Yeah,
call when you get a chance. You can say where you can hear that I'm talking so much better. I mean, that
yes.
was really something, you know.
But not leaving our topic about this bird flu and
Oh,
what and the impact that it would have on the country. I mean, we've already seen how prices skyrocketed because of this first round of the bird flu, and they're trying to get control over it. If they allow a second wave to come in and kill off the new chicken, it won't kill all of them because now we think about it. That when you say only the strong survive. Okay, now in Sweden, when COVID-19 was at its height, they chose not to vaccinate, and they said, okay, we'll just let it run rapid.
get it right.
And the fact that the people will develop antibodies because your body will. That's how the human race has survived of all these millions and millions of years because our bodies will adapt. Some people bodies will adapt and you will live. Some of us won't adapt.
Hey,
Now, what
listen,
side do you want to be on?
any living creature, human, bug, all of us that are living will die. It's
Yes.
it's the quality of your life. What do you want to do to expand your longevity? I mean, we always get upset when we see the children are getting sick. We got a measles outbreak. We got a
The
measles
lack of vaccination.
in Texas with the babies. And I mean, measles is no joke, people. That ain't no joke. And then you see that, people have died from having the measles.
Well, the biggest thing about measles, why they want you to be vaccinated, is because you can catch measles now, and then you have a compromised immune system for the rest of your life. Oh, okay, so no, you don't have the measles for the rest of your life, but now your immune system has been compromised for the rest of your life, and then you are susceptible to things happen, getting colds, flus, and other viruses that may come along because your antibodies are no longer as strong as they would have been if you not have been infected.
I kind of feel, no, I do feel bad and sad for the generations behind us and the generation behind them because a lot of the parents will not allow their kids to go outside to play. And that's a whole sociological situation because the streets and your playground and your neighborhood ought to be safe for children to be able to go outside and play. And that you would trust the elders to look out for them if they saw them in distress instead of, thinking, okay, I can't take my baby out there. Somebody try to snatch him off the street. Somebody might try to hurt him. So you have to be really cognitive of where you take them to play, but take them outside. Let them play in the dirt. Let them get dirty. Let them go to the beach and put sand on every place on the entire body, and you got to turn them upside down to get it out after 2 or 3 weeks. But let them play, and that builds up their immunity.
Well, that's what they say about dirt. Now, that is something they truly say about dirt. If you allow your kids to eat dirt and play in dirt when they're really young, they would have a lot more antibodies in their system for the journey of life. No, and
And
sometimes
start in the dirt, and especially when you're well, the seasons change everywhere. It just doesn't
Yes.
like people always say. Do the trees change colors out there in California? Yes, they do. The
Some
leaves,
of them do.
some of them
Some,
do,
not
and
all.
we see the leaves fall on the ground, and we see the changing. And in the wintertime, it does get cold. I mean,
Yes.
we're in about 37 degrees, and all of this kind of stuff. So we have to adapt to what we to the weather wherever we are, and to say
Well,
that
your body adapts. Your
right,
body does.
and to say that let the avian virus spread when so many millions of people, not just here in the United States but around the world, eat chicken, eat eggs, and to say just let it run through it,
Think about it. At the no, no,
let it
they had people trying to smuggle eggs in from Mexico for the simple fact because they cost so much and there was a shortage. Well, there's a shortage. People look to fill that shortage,
right.
and people were willing to take a risk to try to smuggle eggs into the United States. I
Okay, but
mean,
eggs don't last forever, people.
but you can freeze them. You can put them in a freezer to drive them across the border.
Oh, that's what they do.
Okay, so yes, you can. I mean, that's what they were doing. They were trying to smuggle eggs in because they could sell them and make money.
Because they are ridiculous. We went to the store and it said $17.99. And I was
But
like,
that's in California. That's not in most places, thank God.
oh, maybe we could have some. Hey, y'all, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, ship Mother Love some eggs out here. Go ahead. Can they do that? Not get them from
Well, no, no, wait. But they've asked people not to bring produce from out of the state into the state because unknowing to you, unknowing to you, you don't know if the products that you're bringing into the state has some kind of bug that's maybe generic to Ohio,
yeah.
that's not generic here to California. So yes, you can bring the eggs here, but you also take the risk that you bring it here and that you could start another disease going right here, infecting animals or birds or people. Because
I I just think for him to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and for him, well, we had a president that said drink bleach. So
I
I
mean,
guess
but
they just put it out there in the ether and just say it out loud. And sometimes thoughts that you have in your head, people should not be said out loud. So that to me, that was like something he should have kept in his head and to say, well, just let the avian flu. Well, no, let me see if I could get here. Well, just let the avian flu, just let it spread all the way to all the chickens, and we'll see what chickens are left. That's what we're gonna do. And
well, but then
then we'll
but
put
then
a moratorium on the price of the chicken. You think eggs are
Okay, but wait a minute. But you can't have a moratorium on the prices of eggs if there's a shortage of eggs all at the same time. Now they limit on how many eggs you can purchase at one time.
isn't that got price gouging? I mean,
Well,
really,
wait a minute. It's two different things. It's two different things. Okay, if you allow 2/3 of the birds to die from the flu, and the third that's left, and say, okay, would that third be enough to provide enough eggs, to provide enough chicken sandwiches to go around? That's the difference. Would there be enough chickens left to go around for the consumption of chickens that we consume here in this country or anywhere in the world? I mean, if you allow something to just run wild, the more people that die and are affected by that comes back to let you know that maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, every idea is not a great idea because you decide to do it. I
that's
mean,
what I said because there are
I'm
thoughts that I have, and I'm like, okay, and then I've said them out loud
excuse me.
to you all, and I did my feedback when I have a
Mm.
crazy thought. Uh, don't say that out loud.
Don't say it out loud.
Say it out loud. Keep that crazy thought in the back of your head, or I'll say something and we'll bust out. See, this is when I know when I was doing stand up. Excuse me. This is when I knew my material would like take them in on the carpet ride and go with me. Because if that guy, we had a laugh-o-meter. If he chuckled, that might be an opening bit. If he go, ha, oh, okay. And but then he go, ha, yeah. Then I know we can't eat and drink while Mother Love's on stage because we can't do CPR from the stage. It's a good thing I know
Oh,
CPR.
you couldn't do CPR on the stage? I thought you could do that.
Yeah, I am. No,
You're good, but not that good.
yeah, I'm great. I'm not that great. I know what my.
Oh, not that great. Okay.
And I just think it's. Do you think? And we don't know how long this is gonna last. how long it's going to take, to refurbish the chicken,
the chicken population.
the egg population.
Well,
We'll
well,
put this all into. It might be a good thing. Let's just think about this. You can
okay.
eat chicken, okay. So if you don't not eating chicken, maybe the beef prices will go up, and pork prices will go up, or maybe they'll stabilize because most people don't eat. I don't eat beef. We don't eat beef or pork, and
Okay, but
we eat
think
a
about this.
lot of fruits and vegetables. So, do you think this might be a way for people who said, I think I'm going to go vegan, even if it's just for a while, even to just clean out the crap in your system? Because I,
No,
they say, you don't think it?
no,
No.
because
Because
one
one
thing.
thing, turn us into just vegans and eating fruits and vegetables and nuts and berries and twigs and
I
spreads.
mean, yes, we could, but I'm saying if you stop and think about it, just give this one thought. If you do something like that, you know, everybody does not want to not eat beef or pork. I mean,
Right.
how would you make cakes? How would you make a lot of pastries if you can't use eggs?
Now,
If there's a shortage of eggs,
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm talking about.
it
It,
would make
the
it
average
would.
pound cake, the average pound cake takes at least 4 eggs, at least. So if you
Well,
make 3 pound cakes out of those 18 eggs or those 20 eggs, you're
yes,
still gonna be coming up with an egg shortage. And I was reading this article, and I've heard this before so many times, especially as far as our food supply is concerned, that Americans waste 30 to 40% of our food.
yes, that's true.
We buy too much, we cook too much, we
Yes.
eat too much. Going Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and all these holidays where we eat like we waiting for the apocalypse to come, or we trying to we getting ready to go to prison and it's our last great meal we're gonna eat. You want to fill up and fill up. We go to buffet. I don't go to the buffets anymore, but go to buffets and you can eat all you can eat, and you could only eat so much food. But a lot of us, and I have to say, pre-adventure to say, I am one of them. Uh, have a well, it's really not a food shortage mentality. It's just I don't like to run out of stuff. If I'm in
But you don't call that a food.
a food desert, I don't call it a food desert. I don't call it the food insecurity, because I mostly because I know how to cook, and I know how to cook, with a limited amount of supplies, and I know how to cook
Oh, I see.
with even the fancy stuff. I can make what y'all tell me all the time. You make your plate look pretty. And I'm gonna just say this. I was making matter of fact, I was baking a pound cake for it.
Oh,
Rules in the house is you don't cut the cake before Papa. And if sometimes they be hanging over the cake, like, well, is Papa coming to cut it? Will he see this part of the cake? Don't you touch that cake. And so I was getting the cake and I said, oh, my cake. It looks so pretty. He said, it smells pretty too. That was it. That just made my day right there. When you tell your wife or somebody, because I'm gonna be telling that to somebody, it
hmm,
smells pretty, and you could tell that when it looks good raw, it's gonna be even great, be even better when it's done. And so, and a lot of people, unfortunately, are gluttons. That's one of the
yes.
deadly sins, and they want to eat up everything on the menu. But thank you, call again. You ask them to eat off a smaller plate and eat what's on that plate, and they try to pile a smaller plate up to be this high. I'm like, where's the discipline that you don't have to, and we eat too fast.
Well, yes. I'm a victim of that. I do have it because I don't look at food the
You're not
same.
a victim of eating fast. That's your modus operandi.
What
You're not a victim
now?
of eating fast.
Yes. I mean,
Okay,
wait a
talk
minute. You confess to what you do and what you don't do. Some people are slow eaters, and the other people are fast eaters. Okay, I'm a fast eater. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm not a fast eater. Yes, no. They tell you that you should eat your food slower. That if we all ate slower, that we would get more full sooner, and eat less food because you'll give your body a chance to know that you're eating.
mm,
Because when you eat real fast, before your brain can register that you're full, you've already eaten too much.
mhm.
That's why people who eat slowly, most of the time, are not overweight because they take their time and eat. But then, if your genes are what they are, either if you're a slow eater or a fast eater, if you're gonna gain weight, you're gonna gain weight
Right.
because your body does not burn the calories as quick as when you were younger.
And then
As we get older, we don't burn calories quickly.
it don't snap back like we used to. I mean, oh, I remember I could get the only time I ever got sick, like really, really sick when I was growing up, was like the week before Thanksgiving, and without fail, I always got strep throat. And so they had to isolate me. And
Yes.
remember when they would get put the red quarantine patch on the door and say, "Don't go weird, don't come."
Yes. But that's because back then, okay,
Everybody would get sick.
but we didn't know only way to stop the spread of the virus or the cold or flu or whatever you had, pneumonia, chickenpox, was to isolate you so that it did not spread. Because that's why we're worried about this bird flu. Because if the bird flu continues to spread and you have to kill more chickens, because if you said, okay, well, don't kill any of the chickens, if they had the bird flu, let it go ahead and be sold, and then you consume that chicken that had the flu, then you would end up getting sick, and now you started a whole nother chain of sickness that's being spread because we didn't catch it from the beginning. But now, one of the other things we also want to talk about today, because our time is going so fast,
My goodness.
is that we want to talk about relationships with in-laws. And one of the things I mentioned to you earlier was that, okay, I heard the story of when the husband and the wife had been going together for about 3 years. They got married, and then the son wanted to invite his mother. She wanted to take the mother out for her birthday, and the mother said, "Oh my goodness, my son wants to take me out for my birthday, make my birthday special." She went out and bought a brand new outfit, for this occasion. But his wife did not want to go to the restaurant that the mother had picked out. She wanted to go to a seafood restaurant, and the wife was telling the husband, the son, that she didn't want to go to a seafood restaurant. Wanted to just go to a different restaurant that her mother really wouldn't mind. That if they switched the restaurants at the last moment. Now, I mean, there's a lot of people got a lot of opinions, but I think one of the things that goes with that is that what kind of relationship did the mother and the daughter-in-law have to start with?
Well, see now, okay, let me interject up in here. Most mothers, and I would pre-venture to say the majority of mothers who have sons, uh feel like that's the only woman that he needs in his life, and there will never ever be anybody who's going to be good enough to him, that's going to take better care of him than I am. And so therefore she'll put up a rip. Sometimes people don't want to get to know their in-laws, and sometimes they do. And then some of them can be like nightmares. Some mother-in-laws can be terrible, and just be awful to the new wife. And oh my goodness, they could wreak havoc in your life. I remember my grandmother, my father's mother,
Yes,
couldn't stand my mother. She could not stand my mother. She was one of these color struck women, excuse me, who came from, I mean, literally, my grandmother could pass for white. And she thought that my mother was too dark to be with her very fair skinned husband, her son. And
son.
my dad had red hair, he had freckles, he had these.
It was a bit of Irish in it.
Yeah, he had a whole lot of Irish in him because that's where Irish come from over there. So
Okay.
she couldn't stand my mother. And then when they got married and started having babies,
Yes.
when the babies wasn't coming out the color she thought they should come out of. My older sister was too dark. I was too red. My next brother, he was too dark. My next brother, he could at as a baby, he really could have passed for white because I told him I got a white brother. He got big strawberry blonde hair and big blue eyes and long eyeliner, and that's exactly what he looked like. And people would think that my mother was babysitting him because he was so fair skinned, and that was the only one our grandmother wanted to see, like on a regular basis. I made her see me. You gonna see me. And after they named me after my dad, oh no, you gonna see me. And she couldn't stand me for a long time. She didn't start liking me to like right before she passed away. And I remember one of the last things she said to me was, you know, you a pretty good gal right there. You a pretty good gal. That's all I got.
Well, but that was better than nothing. And what?
And and the fact that she was like, and she wanted to make my mother and our lives a mess. She wanted to keep some stuff going, and there was some kind of scandal going on. They tried to get us all in the mix of it and pick sides and get everything. And our mother told her, "You don't get to use my children for a pawn, and you're crazy." So now, when you get off of, well, she didn't say it then. I said it. When you get unstuck off of stupid, and now, it was hell to tell the captain. Oh, she told my daddy what a horrible wife she was. She's a terrible mother, so and such and such and so and so. And my daddy told her, "Okay, mom, that's okay. Okay, that's how you feel." And he came back home and said, "Y'all don't even have to, if y'all don't want to go over there, you don't have to feel obligated to go someplace where somebody does not want you there." And he said, "I don't care if it's your grandmother, your grandfather, nobody." And that always stuck to me. Don't be around people who don't mean you any good.
Well, that's a good thing to know and to follow. I mean, because you're married into a family, and that's what I mentioned to our grandkids on more than one occasion. Please get. I mean, if you're ready to start dating, get to know the family too. Don't just say, "Oh, I met him. He was the no the apple of my eye. I met her. She was everything to me." And that I don't want to get to know the family, because if you marry that person, you're marrying that person and their family. I mean, whether you get along with that family, whether that family gets along with you, you have to stop and think: is it still better to know what I'm walking into than not to know what I'm walking into, and then find out after the fact, and then y'all fall out, or the marriage doesn't work because you never took your wife around your family, or she never took you around her family, and then when you met the other half, said, "Whoa, wait a minute, now that's a whole nother story."
You know why I'm laughing.
Yes, I do, because in our case, you know,
You were so eloquent with that. Okay, go ahead on. Tell the story.
you know, the difference between our two families were like night and day. The fact that I went over there to be entertained, and my family said, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" They must be worked a root or two on you, because if you were saved in your right mind, there's no way that you would be around all that confusion and
Oh,
madness going on all at once.
oh, man.
But okay, it
Let me
was.
just say this. Let me just say
Wait
this.
a minute, it was not their cup of tea. I want to finish.
Oh,
No, it was not their cup of tea.
cup of
It
coffee.
was my cup of tea. And maybe I like my tea stirred that way.
Yeah,
They didn't like their tea stirred that way. So yes, there was the difference.
that was
But
not there.
was was I marrying them, or was I marrying you?
Oh,
That's the difference.
but see now you okay.
That is the difference.
You he tried to buffer me. He really did. Even after his brother, who was several classes ahead of us, went and told his parent, told their parent, he has got the wildest, loudest, craziest troublemaker on the campus. I don't
Of
know.
all times.
Needless to say, I had a reputation even after I left, but that wasn't my doing. I just didn't take a lot.
Who was it then?
That was,
If it wasn't your doing, who was it?
that was my
That was your evil twin.
I'm an evil.
The other twin came out
Yeah,
when all that confusion was going on.
she was being manifested there, so we had to get her together. Uh,
Oh,
See now, quiet as it's kept. Kennedy and I, we have been together a long, long time,
but
and
I'm only 40.
yeah, they said the worst lies you could tell, the
40 ish.
lies you tell. Okay, so we doing our thing, and all the fellas on the yard, and even some of the chicks on the yard were like, "I want to know what that guy has." I mean, I could be jumping up on furniture, jumping off the cigarette machine, jumping across the counter, jumping on the pool table, whatever kind of antic I would. Look, and we got witnesses, and so I can't make this up. A lot they remembered a lot of stuff, and he said, his brother said, She is the wildest. I've never seen anybody like her in my life." And yeah, I kind of did, but I was cool with everybody. That
Yes,
was
you
my
were.
operandi. I wasn't a troublemaker. I was an instigator. And so I'm just saying, so we're doing our thing. Woo la 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 woo, and then we
Oh,
doing.
you got 30 seconds to tell them.
Uh-uh.
Uh huh.
Mine,
30 seconds.
mine say 49 and 35.
Okay, well, keep going then.
See,
Well, go. Go with your bad self.
you just want me to cut off the story. Okay, so I could be doing any of those things. Have a crowd around me. I could work a room ever since I was a young wee little lassie.
Oh, okay.
So and I don't care where we were, at a dance, he could walk into the room and we could be going straight up to the ceiling. We'd be dancing so hard the floor be sweating. We splashing up off the floor. And he would come in, and for those of you who remember this commercial, it's for I think a brokerage house. It was called E.F. Hutton, and the tagline was, "When E.F. Hutton says something, everybody listens." Something
Yeah.
to that effect.
Yes.
And only reason why you knew he was in the room was because the room could be at a fever pitch. Why everybody else? They are something you hear, and they kind of like parted the way, and like he would had a backlight on him. And I remember this time, well, several times, but I was in at the party, and I was just cutting up with the DJ. We had him going, and song was still going. We still jamming. He comes in. Everybody stopped dancing. This is what he does to me. Come on. He didn't say anything. He just smiled at him with that $1,000,000 smile. I jumped off of the DJ table, came right to him. He said, "Now, say goodbye to the nice people." And I said, "Goodbye, nice people. Goodbye." I said, "Can I just tell him I'll see him later? Because I don't want to be dead. Like, I want to see him later.
Oh, okay.
But I'm dead." And they would always say, even the rowdiest guys from, like the Qs and the Kappas and the Alphas and and who else did I miss? Phi Beta Sigma. I don't know how I missed them. I was a Sigma sweetheart, and I was a
Okay.
to all of the fraternities. And they would always say, "What the? I mean, he can calm her down like this." What? And then one of them was stupid enough to try to do the same thing. And Kennedy, he came in, and I was cussing him out from Amazing Grace to a floating opportunity. He could not talk faster than me. He couldn't cuss better than me. I went up to one side of him, down the other one, around, and then I said a very nasty thing to him. And I didn't. Well, I did cuss at him because he was just standing like that. I ain't never had nobody talk to me like that. I said, "You better be damn glad I'm somebody." He comes in, I leave, and all he kept saying was, "God rest his soul," he didn't pass away. He said, "I want to know what is she doing? What is he doing?" I would cook for him, and they would come over, eat up all the food, all the
Right.
and it was so that's what they
Well,
do.
that's a good thing, though. I mean, see, that you got training in advance of getting married
Mhm,
because you
mhm.
learned how to cook well. I mean, if people come back for seconds and thirds or want to take something home, you're doing something. You're definitely doing something right.
I was doing something right, but I was
Yes.
cooking for you, not for them. Then another one of his friends, one of his frat brothers. Remember this happened. One of his frat brothers came in and they were sitting there chit chatting, and I'm just, meandering around the house doing my little pit and everything. And he come and said, "I need you to go make me a sandwich." You know what? And I had let out a big white laugh. And he said, "What's so funny?" I said, "You are." Because I want you to make me a sandwich. I said, "Because I ain't your damn woman. You want a sandwich? You better go down there and make your own sandwich. Matter of fact, get out."
We just
And
get out.
they look at Kennedy and they go, and he just look at him and they know they gotta get out. I done throw people out a bunch of times. I'm like, "No, this is my man. This ain't the group. I'm not the group woman. I don't cook for all of y'all. I ain't doing your laundry. I don't even like y'all like that." And then they were turning. Everybody call him brother. Make her do that. And he don't laugh out loud all the time. And he went,
Make
"Yeah, make her
make.
make me a sandwich." And so then he went and told everybody, "Brother wouldn't make her make me a sandwich." And it was like, "Now see, now you look even a bigger fool. Okay, you look like an even bigger fool."
Why?
I,
Because that women because they weren't accustomed to you making cooking for everybody.
they wasn't accustomed to
Wait a minute.
it.
Yes, they were because they came over. Everybody had a chance to eat. We didn't send people away hungry.
No, we did. No, we did.
Okay. Well,
And they used to tell when I Listen, I almost got put out of the dorm one time because every Thursday, I think it was every Thursday, I made a big pot of spaghetti in the room, and I had a little double eye hot plate, and I had a little Frigidaire, and they would bring food in, and ask me to cook it, and I would. Then they start using me as their marker for their women. Okay, she do that for brother, you gonna do that for me? And they'll go, hell no, I ain't doing none of that. One of my girlfriends, her boyfriend, he tried to holler at her, and I used to tell him all the time, you cannot be yelling at her in one breath and then saying, oh baby, I'm sorry. Now, she literally, I actually thought she was a white girl. I didn't care if she was pink with blue dots. That was my friend, and I loved her. And she, just as beautiful as she was, and she was an elegant dresser. And he went to acting real crazy and thought he was going to hit her, you know?
Oh,
And, oh, he thought. He thought he could get away with hitting her. He made a fatal. It was a mistake. Oh my God. Remember the old-fashioned phones, the first ones that came out on the wall where they had that
yeah,
big long extension cord, and it was pretty heavy.
yeah.
She snatched the what is it called? She snatched it off the hook.
The base, the
The
the phone, the
she
base of the phone.
no, she snatched the part that you're talking. She snatched
That's
it
it.
so
Okay.
hard. She snatched it so hard. The base of the phone came out the wall. The pieces of drywall was coming out. And before he could say the next thing, she cold cocked him across his head. And this one of them, real light guys, the chicks was all over him, didn't understand why he was with her, whoop the what the whoop. And she really did love him. And he thought, let me push the envelope. And he raised his hand at her. And I was like, that was your, and I was standing there, I saw the whole thing. And
You was a witness. You was
I
eyewitness news.
eyewitness. I mean, she gave him a head full of, oh, Weezy, look at that. She done knocked the knot upside your head. She hit him in the mouth with the phone. He was going around talking like this. I'm like, she hit me with the phone. She hit me with the phone. And of course, I had to translate. She hit him with the phone. Yes, she did. She hit him a bunch of times. He never, ever put his hand on her again. And she said, we are through. And oh, he was pining behind her for a whole year till she graduated from school and left. And she told, I ain't never got to see you again. And he said that was the worst thing I ever did in my life. I let her go. I said, you let her go? No, she left your stupid butt because you could knock her down some. She let him have it. Oh, well, you hit me, you better hit back.
But that's what you talk about relationships and how people do in relationships. One of the biggest things is getting to know your relatives and how they feel. I mean, if you don't know that your mother-in-law is not, does not particularly care for you before you marry that person, that says something about you and not wanting to bring that person around to get to meet your family, or if you did bring them around and your family wasn't that keen on them, that you didn't say, well, over time maybe they will learn, maybe they will adjust. Because sometimes when you first meet somebody, they may seem exactly right, but if you meet them again and you meet them again, maybe you warm up to them, they'll warm up to you, and you get to know them. I mean, but some people are not going to get along, and if you know that, then if you care about the person you're with, you don't put them in compromising positions where they got to choose between you and their family.
And I appreciate the fact that you never allowed that to happen. And again, and it was not just your parents; it was also your sisters. Because it's three guys in your family, and there's four girls and your mother. And
Yes,
the fact that the one thing we were always taught to do, if you get serious with a guy, you know, you make it your
it should.
business to
Yeah,
make it your business to meet his family, to find
yes,
out how
or her family,
or her
whichever.
family.
Yes.
And he met my family first. And I did not get to meet his family. I'm just gonna tell it. I didn't get to meet your family, and you know this, until I was almost 8 months pregnant. And we have
It
been
was for a good reason.
well, he you yeah, you did tell me, you did tell me.
Okay.
And
Well, it wasn't like, see, that's the difference. It wasn't like I didn't try to hide it from you or
right.
say, no, you don't need to know about this. No, you'll find out about this later on. If you're honest, just tell somebody. I mean, either you can deal with it or you can't. If that was something that you couldn't have dealt with, you would have had enough time to say, well, no, I can't deal with that. So maybe we shouldn't go any further. If I saw now after I met your family, if I thought your family was just too far out of my range that I couldn't deal with, then I would have told you that as well, though.
That did not happen because I figured
But
work for me. Wait till you and I'm the calm one. I'm
well, I don't know about all that. About being a
no,
calm one.
no,
There
strong
weren't too many calm ones in your family, if memory serves me correctly.
memory serves you correctly. You know,
Okay.
but like I said, I was the who was the calmest one? I'd have to say my 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 mother's first son, my brother. He was the calmest one. He was quiet. He didn't raise a lot of.
No, no, the quiet one was Michael.
That's what I'm talking about. Why you
Oh,
keep
okay. Oh, would you
like
wait a
you
minute?
ain't supposed to be calling his name like that?
Okay, well,
Okay, that was
that was his name. I'm not calling somebody else's name.
and
Oh,
that.
and our time is up, though.
Oh, oh, you know what? We had these conversations, and they are so. Listen, if you get married or you get a boyfriend or girlfriend, make sure they get to meet your in-laws so you don't have the in-laws from hell. Love you all, mean it.